My name is Daniel Sterling, and I thought I had survived the worst life could throw at me. 4 years ago, my wife, Veronica, walked out. It wasn't a slow fade. It was a sudden, calculated departure fueled by her desire for a wealthier, flashier life. The only thing she wanted from the marriage was the large monthly alimony check and the title of mother on paper. The one thing she didn't want was our daughter, Lily. Lily, now 15, is my whole world. She's a brilliant student, a gifted artist, and the reason I get up every morning. We live in the house I bought for Veronica when we got married, a charming 4-bedroom home that became the anchor for our life together. It was supposed to be our fortress, but after the divorce, it became my battlefield. The divorce settlement was clear. I kept the house and I paid Veronica a substantial amount of monthly support. It was painful, but it bought me peace and the legal right to raise my daughter. But peace, I learned, is always temporary when Veronica is involved. Last month, Lily was accepted into the prestigious Silverwood Academy, a private school renowned for its arts program. It was her dream, but the tuition was exorbitant. I was determined to make it work. I called Veronica, hoping, foolishly, for some maternal support, a shared sacrifice. She laughed, a cold, brittle sound. "Tuition? That's your problem, Daniel. My support checks are for my lifestyle, not her schooling. If you can't afford the lifestyle you promised her, maybe you shouldn't have been so ambitious with the private schools." I swallowed my anger. I liquidated my few investments, took a second job, and scraped together the first semester's tuition. Lily was overjoyed. But then Veronica saw the acceptance letter on Lily's social media. She saw the cost, and she realized I was spending my money on Lily, not on her. 2 days later, my lawyer called. Veronica had filed an emergency motion to reevaluate the divorce settlement. Her demand, a one-time, lump-sum payment of $250,000 for retroactive child support, claiming I had underreported my income. The real motive: she knew I had just spent every penny on Lily's tuition, and she wanted to squeeze the last drops of blood from the stone. She wanted to hurt me, and through me, hurt Lily. I was cornered. I had no savings left. Taking out a loan against the house was possible, but it would risk everything. Veronica knew the house was my emotional anchor, my last tangible piece of the life I had built for Lily. She expected me to panic, to settle, to beg. I sat in the living room, staring at the walls. Every corner held a memory. Lily's height marked on the doorframe, the faded crayon mark she left on the mantelpiece when she was 4. Losing this house felt like losing the last trace of her childhood stability. But losing Lily's dream felt worse. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't panic. I started reading the original divorce papers. Every line, every clause. I found the one sentence Veronica's lawyer thought was irrelevant, the one I had insisted on keeping. Clause 4B. The marital home is awarded solely to Daniel Sterling. However, should Daniel choose to liquidate the property, Veronica Sterling retains a contractual right to 40% of the net proceeds. This clause becomes null and void upon Veronica's remarriage or the child's 18th birthday. Veronica was not remarried, and Lily was 15. She stood to gain a huge windfall if I sold. This was her actual leverage. She knew if she demanded the money, I would have to sell the house, and she would get her cash. A clean win. I knew my next move had to be surgical. I had to pay the $250,000 to end the legal harassment and secure Lily's future. The house was the only asset left. I walked into my lawyer's office the next morning. Lawyer: Daniel, we can fight this, but it will cost more in legal fees than the demand itself. Daniel: No, we're not fighting. We're complying. I'm selling the house. Lawyer: What? But that means Veronica gets 40% of the proceeds. She wins. Daniel: She thinks she wins. Get the house appraised immediately. Let the demand for $250,000 proceed and agree to the sale. But tell Veronica we found a buyer who will close in 30 days. Let her celebrate her victory. The appraisal came in high. The sale would give Veronica approximately $180,000 after costs. Combined with the $250,000 I was legally obligated to pay her, she was looking at a total windfall of $430,000. She was ecstatic. She called my lawyer herself, gloating. I had sold the roof over my head just to satisfy her greed. I found a small two-bedroom apartment near Silverwood Academy. It was a downgrade, but it meant Lily would have a short commute and I would be close to her school. Lily, seeing the house packed into boxes, was heartbroken. Lily: "Dad, why are we moving?" "I love this house." Daniel: "We're moving, sweetie, because we're focusing on the future. Silverwood is your future. Sometimes you have to let go of old things to hold on to bigger dreams." I was sacrificing the house, but I was protecting her dream and my sanity. The closing date arrived. I sent Veronica the required $250,000 payment and the closing documents. She was waiting impatiently for the wire transfer for her 40% share of the house sale. The money hit her account. She immediately sent a text laced with venom. "Enjoy your tiny new life, Daniel. Hope Lily appreciates my sacrifice." That text was the final insult. I had already secured the new apartment, paid a year of Lily's tuition, and the financial pressure was off. The time for my final move had arrived. I hadn't just read Clause 4B, I had also read Clause 6A, Clause 6A. All child support and alimony payments are contingent upon Daniel Sterling maintaining full legal and physical custody of the minor child. Should the child's primary educational or residency requirements move outside the current county limits, the court reserves the right to reevaluate and modify all future financial obligations. My new apartment, the one near Silverwood Academy, was 1 mile outside the county line where the divorce decree was filed. I instructed my lawyer, immediately after the wire transfer for the sale hit Veronica's account, to file the modification motion under Clause 6A. The motion was approved by the judge the next morning, citing the clear relocation of Lily's primary residence and educational anchor outside the original jurisdiction. The ruling was simple and immediate. All future alimony and child support obligations to Veronica Sterling were terminated. 2 days later, Veronica's lawyer called mine, screaming. She had been informed that her monthly alimony, her steady income stream for the next 10 years, was gone. Terminated. Zero. She had received her one-time, massive windfall from the sale of the house, which she desperately craved, but in doing so, she had triggered the termination of her financial future. She had been so focused on stealing the money from the house that she completely missed the legal trap. The money from the house was a finite gain. The monthly alimony was a perpetual loss. She called me herself. "Veronica, you ruined me, Daniel. You sold the house just to stop my checks." Daniel: "I sold the house to pay for Lily's future and to get you out of my life, Veronica. You wanted the house sold for cash, and you got it. You just didn't read the contract. You were too busy counting the money from the house to realize you were selling your own income stream." She lost all her leverage. The $250,000 demand was met. The 40% of the house proceeds was paid. She was sitting on a pile of cash, but the steady flow of income that enabled her lifestyle was cut off forever. I used the rest of the equity from the house to pay for Lily's tuition up front. I paid for 3 years of her dream education, guaranteeing her future. I didn't lose the house. I traded it. I traded 4 walls for 3 years of my daughter's dream. I traded a permanent alimony obligation for a one-time cash payout and the satisfaction of finally being free. The small apartment became our new fortress. Lily is thriving at Silverwood. She appreciates the sacrifice, but she doesn't know the dark surgical move I had to make. She just knows that her father will move mountains or sell houses to protect her future. My ex demanded money for my child. I sold the house instead, and in doing so, I bought my freedom and her future, leaving my ex with a temporary fortune and a permanent silence. If you've ever had to make a painful sacrifice to secure a bigger victory, share your story in the comments. And if you agree that freedom is sometimes worth more than a house, hit that like and subscribe button.